When do you pull the plug on a role-playing game? Today on Out of Character. Hello and welcome to Out of Character. I'm Jason Corley.
I'm Scott Forster.
And I'm Don Dem.
And assisting us today with engineering is Aaron Lee Newberg.
Hello.
So before we jump into the topic of today's show, I wanted to just quickly make an announcement of a game that we have been talking about on the show for many episodes, before they invented video. That would be the Marvel role-playing game, the newest edition of the licensed game from Marvel. From Margaret Weis.
Yes.
Which we assisted with the play testing on.
Very cool.
Is out. It's out in PDF. By the time this show airs, it might actually even be out in print. So
nice.
I'm really excited about it. I've been posting about it online all over the place. It's got a lot of innovative things about it, like its experience system, the way that you design events instead of campaigns or sessions. It's really well put together, so definitely check it out. And if people have questions about it, I'd love to talk about it on Twitter or on Facebook, or drop me an email or talk in the show notes, and we'll be happy to chat about it. So I'm really excited that it's out.
It's a game about superheroes or something?
Yes. So you may have heard of these things called superheroes. They appear in the covers of comic books and on moving pictures that sometimes appear with sound.
Because video was recently invented.
Video was recently invented.
According to Wikipedia, sometime in 1986.
So yes, you will be role-playing, and the idea is that you'll start with characters that are established in the Marvel Universe, and they have every popular and even semi-obscure Marvel character that you can think of to play in this game. And then, of course, they have rules for making your own, and you create them along the same lines as the existing Marvel characters, so there's no set power level. It can be a gritty tale of street vigilantes, or it can be cosmic people yelling at the moon, and all of those things can be supported by this game. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Can I have street vigilantes who yell at the moon?
I would hope so.
Okay,
I hope they do. So what I wanted to talk about is when do you pull the plug on a role-playing game? I recently had a campaign that I brought to a stop. We didn't reach an ending, which is what Don is. I know he is the one that taught me about how to bring your game to an ending.
Yep, it's simple. Kill it before it dies.
But I just, I had reached a point with the players, and I was talking to them, and I was really thinking about everyone's enjoyment and trying to figure out how to go forward, and I just couldn't find a way to do it. So I wanted to get some insight from all of you as to when is the right time. When do you know that it's time to say, we are stopping playing this game?
Wow. That's different for, it's on a case-by-case basis, but I think when more than one person is clearly not having fun, if one person's not having fun, it just might not be the right game for them, But
right.
If you've got a game that's been going on a while and one or two or three or half the group is not having fun, that includes the game master. If you're not having fun, you should count yourself in that group, right? And then talk to people. I had one of my online games just die out. People didn't care. They were barely playing. And so I said, you know what? Why don't we still want to play with each other, but let's play something else for a while. And hopefully, maybe we'll come back to this later. Maybe we won't. But it was clearly that people just weren't having enough fun.
One thing that I agree with you in that about is that if you've been playing it for a while, that's when you should start making this evaluation, right? Like if someone is just frustrated with learning the game, or they don't quite know how to be effective in the game,
right.
That can mean that it doesn't mean that they're not going to like it once they learn it. It just means that they are not quite up that learning curve.
Right.
And I think that if they are good sports, they're going to want to learn the game, and they're going to want to learn it a little more. But once they learn the game, if they've got a judgment on it, you should probably listen to them.
Yeah, because they might have some input at that.
Right.
Until then, anything they say doesn't make sense. Yeah. Well, you're right. I think you have to give a system a fair evaluation, and once you've done that and you got an idea what the ins and outs and the way it works, sure. For me, though, I like to look at the problem before it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And I would never, I would prefer not to set myself up into a condition where I do have to think about when should we end this, because I want to build in certain breaking points. I want my campaign, and I think 3 months might be a good time, or 6 months. Yeah, sounds short. Now, that doesn't mean you have to stop playing. That just means you've created a closing. The trilogies don't end after the first movie, but there's a very clear closing.
Yeah.
At the end of the first movie. So you build those in, and once you get to that point, then you can build it all up. And, there's also that whole, maybe that is a good time to stop because you leave them hungry for, let's play that again. Let's play some more, and then you can start with a fresh start or keep those storylines going.
One thing that I have, I have always done the 6-month campaign. That has always been kind of my sweet spot because at around the 4-month mark, something new comes out, like this Marvel game. And I'm like, I have to play this new game right now. I want to play it so bad. Right. And so then Don gave me the advice of kill it before it dies. So rather than wait for my interest to wane down underneath my interest in this other game, which is shooting up, I would build a 6-month campaign. And I'm in a group now with some people in it that have a real strong preference against a campaign with an ending. What they want is a campaign that goes on and on and on and on and on. And I have a hard time.
And I've seen that happen. Scott, aren't you in a game or have been for years?
Yeah, my D&D game is next month. It's going to hit its 3rd anniversary.
Wow!
But it's going to
end.
There
are people who've done it for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a 4th edition game. It's pretty much run for the length of 4th edition existing, and
I think
it may run for the entire life of 4th edition. The way things are going.
I think that's pretty rare, though. I don't think you see that a lot.
It still has a scheduled end. In about 6-8 months, they're going to pretty much hit the limit of what D&D can throw at them and become gods or something. So, then we're going to either start a new D&D game or play something else.
I don't know how prevalent it is or whether or not we perceive it as not being as prevalent because we're older and because of our schedules and our associates and friends.
It's a lot easier to do in college.
It's a lot easier to have a game that goes for 4 years if you're at a 4-year college with your group. People are gonna, always be there, and that's just not the case for a lot of of games that we deal with.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how you felt like you didn't have any time in college, and then you learn.
Then you learn what the rest of the world is like. Exactly. So, one thing that I found when I started really delving into, I like to get feedback constantly from the group. Did you like this? Did you not like that? Mm-hmm. But when I really hit on a couple of players that are like, I don't like anything about this system. I don't like anything about it. I like playing with you, and I like playing with the other players, but I don't like anything about this game. And when you hear something that is as conclusive as that from someone who has learned the game, I think you have to give that great weight. And I think a lot of times people have to think about why they're there. I had one.
Oh yeah, that's very important for everybody. Understand, and it's funny because when you get you hit a game that's like, wow, I just realized I don't like this.
Yeah, I don't want to do
it anymore. It's a great learning experience because it, as well as comparing it to the games you do like, it gives you that. Well, what is it that I am looking for in an experience? And that helps a lot.
I had a player at one point that she had never learned. We were playing Star Wars Saga Edition. And she simply never learned the very most rudimentary basics of the system. That, for example, you roll the D20 and add some stuff to it.
Right.
Okay, she had to ask that every single time. And I was racking my brains. Why is she not learning this? Why? I have taught her. I've given her cheat sheets. I have spoken with her one-on-one. I've spoken with her separate from the group. I've given her an assistant in the form of another player to help her with these things. She didn't ever learn it. And when I spoke to her about what's going on, she said, I love coming over to your house and I love hanging out with my friends for a few hours at the end of the week. And I like that there's a game going on. But I don't go to a party to drink and I don't come over to your house to play a game.
Right.
She came over to socialize and be part of the social aspect of our group. And once I learned that, the weight was off my shoulders. I knew that why she was there, and I was able to give her content that she wanted.
That's huge. It's the watcher personality in the as they define the personalities in the 4th edition DM's guide. They've got a great thing on what players are looking for and how to feed them. And I had a couple of players in my D&D game that were, as soon as their turn's over, they're on their phone, they're doing something, and then when it comes back around, I'm like, I'll be a ninja now, and then they're done, and you're just, as long as he's happy or she's happy, then they're there every week for a reason, right? It's not that they dislike your game.
That's entertaining because for me, it's like there's a certain threshold, a challenge, an effort that's involved in slipping into character. So if I'm slipping in and out of character all night, then pretty soon
you're just bored.
It just it gets away from me. Where by the third time that happens, I'm like, this Sudoku is pretty contentious. But that's interesting that people can do that, and I'm sure I could probably be in some situations where that would be true for me as well. But
So if you're worried about the enjoyment of people in your game, talk to them, identify why they're there, see how many people in your group who understand the game are actually having their preferences satisfied by it. And if your game group is overwhelmingly telling you maybe they're not having fun, you should probably listen to them and find a good ending spot for your game. Maybe one that you've pre-programmed in. Thanks for listening. If you have any feedback or any thoughts, questions, send them to us on Twitter or on Facebook. You can post them on YouTube or on pulpgamer.com, where you can watch other great programs. And come back next week when we'll be talking about games. Are game systems there to produce unexpected, disagreeable outcomes? Should be a lot of fireworks.
Wow.
PulpGamer.com